Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. This is The World This Week, and with us is Chris Dickey of the Daily Beast. Also with us, Régis Le Sommier of the French news weekly magazine Paris Match, Craig COPETAS of Quartz and The Atlantic, and Radio France's Claude Guibal. By the way, what's interesting, Craig, a little bit down, I noticed, on the French president in part one of our discussion. And it seems as though the French just entirely have a tendency to be a bit doom and gloom mongers. A Figaro poll of European business leaders finds only 10% of the French feel their country's economic situation is good. It's 3 times less than the British feel about the French. They've got a more positive view of France. They see opportunities on this side of the channel. Well, some see opportunities. We saw articles this week like the one posted by the editor of London Free Daily City AM, in which the editor showed some tough love for France.
It's a very stagnant economy. It's an economy that looks down on wealth creators, that doesn't like entrepreneurs, that doesn't like people who make money, and that's why so many of them have moved to other countries.
Now, the French embassy in London did not sit idle this time, publishing a communiqué that not only defends the French model, but also bashes the Brits a little bit. France's public spending is again based on a different tradition of public services. Take health as an example. Years of underinvestment forced the Blair government to allocate large sums of money to the NHS, and the current government has had to ring-fence funding for this ailing institution. Well, of course, what followed was reactions from cabinet members, from Boris Johnson, the mayor of London. It's turned into a good old-fashioned tiff between the French and the British.
Yeah, it's actually kind of fun to watch. I mean, it's so sort of spiteful, with the French being still rather serious about this whole thing, and Boris Johnson, who's the larger-than-life personality, just taunting them and saying, you know, we'd like to welcome all you young French people to London. We think this would be just great. And I think that the British have a point, that there is a sense for young people that there's a lot more dynamism in Britain, that you can get ahead faster, that there are fewer rules that you have to put up with if you are an entrepreneur or anything like that. But you and I were at a meeting with the mayoral candidate, Anne Hidalgo, this morning, where she said, you know, let people go, let them have adventures when they're young. When they start to have families, they'll come back to France because it's a better life for them here. I don't know if that's true, but I thought it was a good argument.
What else did she say, which you actually tweeted out, was that she, Claude is correct, that she viewed London as a suburb of Paris.
As a suburb. And then she thought about
She said that in jest.
Of course she did. And then she said, well, no, but she said it again, and she said, well, you know, to be nice, I'll say that they're suburbs of each other. You know, she was making the point that they're very different cities. But in terms of the entrepreneurial activity here, I don't know where she was getting her numbers, but I don't believe for a moment that this is the great incubator for entrepreneurial activity that she tried to paint it to be. If you need a dynamic environment where people think there are a lot of possibilities and there's no penalties for losing. And that's not what people have here in France.
She showed a measure of London envy on certain points, most notably how the city is administrated. But there is one thing that might rub her the wrong way. Is news this week, Régis Le Sommier, that London has overtaken Paris as the most visited city in the world.
I don't know about this, but maybe you're right. I don't know. What I know about London is it's awfully expensive. I mean, that's something that, I mean, Paris is so much. I mean, even the Newsweek correspondent that made a fool of herself recently.
Don't point at me.
We know nothing
about making this article about the different. Even she said that she had a much more luxurious place to be in Paris than when she was for the same amount of money. So there's obviously difference in that. I mean, business. Of course, London is more business friendly. I don't know if the lifestyle of living in London is more attractive than Paris.
I think for young people it probably is.
I'm not so sure about that.
But I can say that the quality
There are
of life.
500,000 young French people in the UK, and that's a conservative estimate. They like it up there.
Yeah, fine.
I'd like to know the figures about them going back and forth.
For us grown-ups, I think Paris is a much better city than London. It's much better organized. It's the quality of life is better. You know, I go to London and it's like they need Baron Osman to come in and sort of like straighten things out. It's
Yeah,
a
but
mess.
you need a revolution for that. I mean, Baron Haussmann came after the commune in Paris. So.
Are you talking revolution?
And he cleared the small side streets and made the Grand
Obviously, the
Boulevard.
monarchy is doing wonderful, so you won't change anything.
Francois, the key point in all this, on whatever statistic you want to strangle, whether
And there
it's
have been a lot of statistics thrown both ways over the last
and
week.
it depends on who you want to believe in. So, but they're the proverbial, television bottom line, as everyone says on this, is that for the individuals who invest the money, the major markets, Wall Street, London, Hong Kong, France is a place where they don't want to put money. The index of economic freedom, which I'm the first to tell you is, a little bit to the right, has France as France's commitment to economic freedom is number 70. Number 70.
Careful, you're throwing statistics at me.
I am,
but
but I throw the
I'm
statistic.
reading The Economist right now.
Yeah,
Craig
I
is
mean-
just explaining this pro-business orientation of all these people. I mean, there's some truth to what you're saying, but there's also very much. I mean, there's also big major companies that are in France. I mean, France has some strength in the world.
that's not the
France is
fu-
appealing.
You're right.
I mean, you're denying every.
No.
You're looking at us as if we're just a bunch of lazy people. hidden behind their social welfare.
Put down the flag for a minute. No.
and
Scooters
using
and wearing
strikes as
helmets,
weapons.
that's what
You know?
No, that's not it at all. France is a great country. There are some great companies here. They do well globally, but the future is young entrepreneurial companies with
So this week's tie-up
with
between
fresh-
Deezer and Samsung, for instance, or talk of it at least, it's just the latest example. There are a lot in high tech. The French are not doing as badly as people think.
I don't see they are they are doing badly in that.
What
The
France
people who
has-
have money, who want to invest, and so what if they're to the right of center? The people who have the seed capital that France requires right now, for whatever reason, don't want to plant it here. And that is the problem.
Well, what France does have is really, really well-educated people in engineering and creative arts and all kinds of things, which is one of the reasons that they're coveted by the British, who will offer them better positions very often than they can get here, and by the Americans.
And in the movie industry as well.
I mean, there's a huge amount of talent here. The question is, how do you open it up and release it in France?
Inside France. We're going to move on, because I want to ask Claude Guibal, just back from Haiti, where you went to mark the 4th anniversary of that earthquake that killed 250,000 people. How's the country doing?
Bad. The country is doing bad. Actually, at France Culture, we decided to go back to Haiti because 4 years after the earthquake, nobody's talking about Haiti anymore. 4 years ago, all eyes were, on Haiti. 35 seconds, more than 200,000 people dead in 35 seconds. A huge amount of money, just people were giving their hearts to and their pockets to Haiti. And 4 years after, what's in Haiti now? Country is still devastated. Actually, the earthquake only touched Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince was destroyed, but Haiti has been destroyed years and years ago by years and years of dictatorship, of political unrest, of lack of state. And this is the biggest problem today still in Haiti. There is no state. So that leaves a lot of room, a lot of space for the international community to do whatever it wants to do in Haiti, for the even religious missions from North America to make their own little states everywhere they want to do that in Haiti. $10 billion have been promised to Haiti. This money hasn't reached directly Haiti. Most of the money has been spent in paying, NGO workers, peacekeepers, 10,000 people, which is a lot. Most of the money hasn't reached Haiti. The Americans promised Haiti a lot of aid. For instance, what have they done? They proposed help in with tax-free zones. For instance, for the rice. Let's take the rice. American rice is being sold tax-free in Haiti. So in Haiti, if you want to buy rice, you better buy American rice. It's less cheaper than Haitian rice. So what happens? Rice fields
Nobody
are
grows rice.
deserted.
Nobody grows rice.
You have no jobs anymore. You know, come on. I mean, as there is no
Who's-
state, there's no coordination. You know, there's no direction.
No state. Whose job is it? We saw, you know, when the earthquake first hit, there was Bill Clinton and George Bush who went out there and all these people. Whose job is it to make up a blueprint? Is it the United Nations' job? Is it the United States' job? Whose job is it to make a blueprint so that you can rebuild a state?
It should be Asian government, shouldn't it? You know, they have a president, elected president. Well, it was 6 months after the earthquake, which is quite strange, you know, that the international community put the pressure on Asians to, you know, hold elections, you know, 6 months after an earthquake that destroyed the capital, and you don't even know how many people died on that day. But still, there is a president and there is a government, but there is no policy, you know. And in Haiti, you know, people, they don't know how they're going to live, you know, on the next day. So they take the money where the money is, you know. They live on a day or half a day basis, you know. They can't look forward because the last 50 years have been a constant struggle.
You know, but what it comes down to is how do you save people from themselves in a situation like that? I mean, you say the Haitians should be doing it themselves, and then in the same breath you're saying they can't do it and they're not doing it. You know, in fact, it comes down to the United States or the United States working with the United Nations in an area like Haiti to try and come up with some policies. But you put your finger on the essential problem with American foreign policy and especially development policy is that it's all run on emotions. So 200,000 people killed, everybody's very upset, there's all these dramatic pictures coming out, lots of money pledged, and then a month later everybody changes the channel, including the policymaking establishment and the people who are giving the money. So the reason 200,000 people died in Haiti was not just because of the earthquake, but because there was no infrastructure. There was nothing there, despite decades and decades and decades of promises by the United States government that it was going to do something to help. You know, the United States invaded Haiti under Bill Clinton and installed a government, an elected government that turned out to be a disaster too.
You were saying before the show that you were witnessing widespread starvation amongst children. That I found.
I wouldn't say widespread starvation, but you still can see, you know, children with big bellies. Sometimes I've been in the south of Haiti, and you can find kids with red hair, you know, showing signs of malnutrition. Yeah, it's still very shocking, very shocking. And what is shocking? Actually, you can find every single NGO on earth in Haiti because Haiti is a laboratory for NGOs. As you don't have a blueprint, you can do whatever you want. You can have your small experiences.
And the Haitians are lab rats.
And you know, the Haitians, they're just happy if, you know, someone comes and say, okay, I'm going to help you. I'm going to buy. I'm going to build a school. I'm going to do. You know, they take the money where the money is. They take the help where the help is. But Haiti is a magical word. Say Haiti, and you will raise money. You will raise funds everywhere.
It just doesn't get to the people.
But it doesn't get directly to the people because it's not coordinated. There is no policies. There is no vision. You know, a state guarantees the stability of a country, of rules, of, you know, of vision. And there is, you can't find that.
Do you see the
Haiti.
dysfunction continuing?
Oh, yes. Yes.
All right, we'll move on to talk about Egypt, where the only suspense is in the constitutional referendum will be the turnout. Final tally for the two-day poll expected on Saturday. The head of the army himself going on an inspection tour of polling stations on Tuesday. General Sisi, who's widely expected to win the presidency, which would be the next step. There were pockets of deadly violence with the now banned Muslim Brotherhood actively boycotting a poll that reverses changes made on its watch. Our correspondent, though, this is interesting, Christopher Dickey, reported genuine enthusiasm among those going to vote.
That doesn't surprise me at all. People are desperate for order now in Egypt. They have had 3 years of chaos, and they had a military junta that did a terrible job governing them, that then turned the power over to a Muslim Brotherhood clique that was interested basically only in preserving and building its own power, that was then overthrown by yet another popular revolution that was exploited and built up by the military and by General Sisi, who will certainly get the constitution that he wants, and he will certainly be elected president, and Egypt will have another strongman, and a lot of people in Egypt will say, thank God for that. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And that's just the way of the world. It's sad for all those young, bright people that I knew out in Tahrir Square. I think you probably met them as well. Because what they wanted, what they were trying to build, is just crumbled away in front of them. But they can start to rebuild it, one hopes, once there is something like order in the country. The problem is that al-Sisi is now saying that anybody who challenges the authority of the military is basically aiding and abetting the Muslim Brotherhood, which he has declared to be a terrorist organization. And he sees as his first priority to crush the Brotherhood at all costs. I was having lunch with a businessman the other day from Egypt who is very pro-al-Sisi. And he said, you know, okay, millions of people voted for the Brotherhood, but there are probably only 100,000 people who would be willing to die for the Brotherhood in a country of 85 million. 100,000 people who'd be willing to die for the Brotherhood? They can make Egypt ungovernable for a long time. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen.
Claude Guibal, is it revolution over?
I would like to say no. I share your opinion. You know, it's very sad for the people we've met in Tahrir Square 3 years ago. The thing is, look what's happening today. Most of them are either dead, in jail, or abroad, or afraid. Because now you cannot... What the people were asking for in Tahrir Square 4 years ago, they had a motto. It was Eskatalnism, to turn down the system. The system was a target. And the system in Egypt is not Mubarakism. The system is the army. The army is the backbone of this country for more than 50 years.
What they call the deep state.
The deep state is the army. The army controls most of the economy. I mean, at least a huge part of the economy. The army controls everything. And the Egyptian people love their army. They love it.
Actually, there's a scholar, an Egyptian scholar in Britain named Hazem Kandil, who's written a very good analysis, I think, that's a little more complicated than that, and that sees the dynamic in Egypt as constant competition between a political elite, the army, and the security forces.
What political elite?
The political elite often grew out of the army, but once it became the political elite, it was a different thing. And the army was feeling for a long time that it had been marginalized because it was a state security apparatus that was running things. So anyway, that's all very complicated.
That was during Mubarak's time.
But the bottom line is the army has taken control back. Whether it had it all along, it has it now.
And remember, this was only a constitutional referendum. One Cairo confectioner can't seem to wait for the next election, the one that would put a General Sisi's face on her chocolates.
Sisi is the country's savior. It's a way of saying thank you. I wanted to do something in my shop to say thank you for saving the country from damage.
Wonderful story.
I hope she's not arrested for trivializing the image of the head of state.
All right.
I had some of this chocolate.
You good?
I'm
You
still
make
alive.
good chocolate? Bittersweet.
Before we go, let's talk about Barack Obama. On the one hand, he's the commander-in-chief. On the other, his electorate voted for curbing the influence of the military and the military-industrial complex, as some call it. Oh, and just to add a layer of pressure before the U.S. President Friday made his big speech on reforming his spy agencies, fresh revelations from the trove of U.S. intelligence whistleblower Edward Snowden, this time the Guardian newspaper, revealing Operation Dishfire, how the National Security Agency's been trawling text messages indiscriminately, it seems. So, Barack Obama at the Justice Ministry announcing reforms and mentioning Edward Snowden by name.
Our intelligence agencies will continue to gather information about the intentions of governments, as opposed to ordinary citizens, around the world, in the same way that the intelligence services of every other nation does. We will not apologize simply because our services may be more effective. But heads of state and government with whom we work closely and on whose cooperation we depend should feel confident that we are treating them as real partners. And the changes I've ordered do just that.
Christopher Dickey, you're the author of Securing the City. You've written books on after 2001 and the attacks on Twin Towers, on how to keep America safe in the face of extremists and radicals. Has your opinion of Edward Snowden changed over the past couple of months?
No, but I think, well, I guess I would say that there are some good things coming out of his revelations. I think initially my feeling was that he had probably done real damage to the security of the United States. I'm not sure that that's true anymore. I think that what happened, and what tends to always happen with security apparatuses and with intelligence organizations, is that they never have enough. They can never have too much information. So if you really leave the door wide open to them, which is what happened after 2001, they'll just keep building and building and building and sucking in more and more and more information. And this is an opportunity for the president, actually, maybe it's not an opportunity he was looking for, but it's an opportunity he has to say, no, 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 we have to figure out really what we want to do here. We can't just let you get everything on everybody all the time just because there might be a problem.
Régis Le Sommier?
Well, I think what we've heard from Barack Obama are just words. I mean, I don't see any, measures that he's going to take to curtail this, worldwide spying. I mean, we have to call it like it is. I mean, we suspected, let's put it that way, we've been suspecting for a long time that this was happening. Edward Snowden gave us the proof. Now Barack Obama says we're partners, we're in the same world, we're friends. We're gonna stop,
If you like your privacy, you can keep your privacy.
Yeah, but why is it in the first place that Merkel's cell phone was tapped? I mean, that's something that's really there should be a little more on that. There should be a little more than wishful talks of we're going to be nice from now on.
Craig Capis, is this a case where perhaps the technology is going faster than the policymakers, in the sense that, for instance, today we're all talking about metadata, and a lot of people don't even know what that is. And does Barack Obama know what it is? Does the NSA know what we're talking about?
Well, call me cynical, but there's a naivete at work here that's as widespread as the Asian bird flu. Spy agencies, this is the voodoo they do. And they're going to keep doing it no matter what Barack Obama or anyone else says. The way I look at this through a historical lens. Can you imagine if this was available to Richard Nixon during Watergate? It would have been even worse. But no one is actually, that we know of, has yet been harmed in the manner of a Watergate event. And the government wants us to believe that we're not going to reach that point, that they have these checks and balances in place. I don't believe them, because the voodoo they do is to collect this stuff and act upon it. And all you need is one corrupt person. And if history is any guide, at some point that individual is going to come up. But having said that, Francois, I think you're correct. We give the internet all the information, our information, freely, and these people are going to sweep it up. I don't know how you stop it.
The latest revelations are about text messaging. Yeah. You'd think it's one thing to post funny pictures on Facebook, but it's another to have your text messages hacked, is it not?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what that hacking consisted of. First of all, this idea that the CIA, the NSA, or whoever has little gnomes sitting around reading all these text messages and listening to all these phone calls is nuts. Even with all the algorithms in the world, they can't do it, and they don't want to do it. All of these things are built on the same principle, which is they get one lead, and they want to see where that lead goes, how far it branches out. One of the interesting things that the president was talking about today was he was saying that in the phone monitoring questions, you can't go any more 3 steps removed, because obviously 3 steps removed takes you geometrically larger field.
He's going to reduce it to 2.
He's going to reduce it to 2. So there's all kinds of things like that. The bottom line for him, however, is very simple. Nobody is going to give a damn about the ACLU and the civil liberties problems if there is another attack on the United States, anything remotely like 9/11. Everybody will say, why was there not more done? Where did you go wrong? And Edward Snowden, who's a hero today, will go down as a traitor in everybody's mind if that happens.
And that is so true.
We're going to leave it there. I want to thank you, Christopher DICKEY. I want to thank Craig COPETAS, Claude Guibal, Régis Le Sommier. Thank you for joining us here for The World This Week.